Hey, Trujillo family. It has been quite a while that I've done something on camera. So I want to say welcome back to the Trujillo YouTube channel. And this channel is all about uplifting stories that speak truth in pursuit of justice in service of love. I have been gone off camera for quite a while because unfortunately just about 3 months ago my mother died, and it has been a journey. It'll continue to be a journey. But I think I've done some things that have really helped me to kind of at least keep waking up in the morning. Some days just waking up in the morning, and a lot of other days being able to get up and go out in the world and talk to people and be with people. And so I thought I would share with you the 5 ways that I'm coping with my mother's death. And I hope that it helps you. I hope that if you are grieving or you know someone who's grieving, that you'll leave comments if you're going through the same thing or you know someone who is, just for us to share in community about what to do and how to make sure that we're doing this in a healthy way and in a way that keeps us surviving. Because the one thing I'm sure we all know about losing a parent is that they certainly want us to keep on going. So I want to tell you a little bit about my incredible mom, Mama Trudy. Now, most people, even if you were a stranger, you would call her Mama Trudy, and that's just who she was. She was like a mama to everybody, and part of her story actually comes to make sense that she's a mama because she was a very nurturing person. But she was born in 1943 in this little tiny town, a rural town in eastern Oregon called Joseph, Oregon. My mom had a tough upbringing, but when she graduated from high school, she decided to leave her circumstance, leave her little town, and try to expand her worldview. And I think probably one of the most clear ways that my mom expanded her worldview was to fall in love with my dad. My dad is from Jamaica, and he had immigrated here to go to school. And so they met and they fell in love. And they got married at a time when interracial marriage was still illegal in 16 states in the United States. And it's a testament to both of my parents around how they wanted to not be confined by what others told them was appropriate or right or who they should fall in love with. In fact, my mom was also queer, and although she wasn't able to really express that growing up in this small town or in her marriage to my dad, she eventually was able to live her life proudly as a queer woman. And when my brother was born in Jamaica, he was born before me, so that was my mom's first birth, and the doctor that my mom had in Jamaica allowed my mom to reach down and catch my brother. And that's what propelled my mom to go into nursing. And she ended up being the only white woman in her class, in her nursing class at Howard University. And she went on to become a nurse midwife, a certified nurse midwife. And she had her own practice in Cambridge, Massachusetts. And so she's responsible for, in part, of course, the moms were mostly responsible, but she caught a whole lot of babies in the city that I grew up in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Mama Trudy was intersectional and queer and polymorphous, as she used to call herself, before there was support for it. She's a pioneer. She's just an incredible, phenomenal woman. And Mom and I were best friends. We never missed an opportunity when we were together to dance. If there was music playing, and sometimes even if there wasn't, Mama Trudy and I were guaranteed to be dancing. And also, even when things got rough, even in the most challenging pieces of her dementia, and even when my brother and I were by her side in her bed as she was weakening, she still found ways to make us laugh. She was just hilarious and silly in a way that made everyone feel comfortable. She never made anyone feel like she knew more than them or like she was better than them. She She just made everyone in a room feel comfortable and like they belonged there, and they deserved her love and kindness. She is certainly the reason that this channel is called Trujillo, that my production company is called Trujillo, because it stands for truth, justice, and love. But that TRU in truth also stands for my mama Trudy. She's the reason that I believe in doing work that helps uplift stories that haven't been told. So a few days after she passed away, I got this tattoo. We made you on purpose, and this is something that my mom told my brother and me growing up, because she wanted us to know that our parents were intentional about bringing us into the world. This tattoo is a reminder of her and of her intentionality in bringing us into the world. So if you're someone who has lost a parent or you're losing a parent, I wanted to share the ways that I am getting through the grief, and these have been lifesavers for me, especially just some days when I wake up, I don't want to wake up, I don't want to get out of bed, I don't want to do anything, and these kind of coping mechanisms have really helped me. So I want to share them with you, and also I'd love to know what you do when you are grieving, and so please share that in the comments. Send links, make your own video or add your video, and let me know what you do. And hopefully we can all share together in community around this really difficult period and difficult experience. So here are the 5 ways that I am coping with the grief from my mother's death. So the first thing I did a couple days after I spent all day in bed crying was I booked myself a solo trip and stayed in the nicest hotel I could afford, and it was so important for me to go and be alone. And actually, as I was planning the trip, I was telling one of my girlfriends, Rima, that, you know, I was going to go and start working on a movie. I had a movie idea and I was going to start working on a movie idea. And she said, no, you're not. You're going to just sit and talk to your mama. You're going to sit and listen to your mama and just relaxed. And so whether that means for you, find ways to be alone with yourself and with your loved one, just to let both of you have that time together, just the two of you. I have to credit my brother, my best friend, Winston Cox, for this next one, because he really led the charge on this. We did a celebration of life for Mama Trudy, and it was so beautiful. We gathered community virtually, of course, because we're still in the pandemic, but we had this incredible virtual gathering. We also did breakout rooms, because storytelling has always been an important part of my family, and we did breakout rooms where people shared, and we recorded it, and it's been such a gift to have, to hear the stories of friends and family, people who knew her, adults who she helped catch as a midwife, as a baby. It was a really special thing. So and it doesn't matter when you do it, even if you weren't able to have some kind of celebration for your loved one close to when they died or passed away, you could always do that. You could always reach out to people and gather them together and ask them to come together and just share stories about your loved one. So my mom broke her hip in November, and then she died in January. So between November and January, I gained 20 pounds. I don't say this to say that gaining weight is a bad thing, and I didn't get freaked out or scared about gaining the weight. I let myself do what I needed to do, and part of that was eating. I'm vegan, so I think it helps that even though I was kind of overindulging in food, a lot of it was healthy because I'm vegan, but I was uncomfortable in my body. I wasn't able to even just walk, and I love walking and with my dog Maxwell and hiking, and I was not feeling comfortable doing any of that. So I decided to get mindful once I could. And again, this took me about a month or so, but I decided to get mindful about my eating. So I start with a really healthy breakfast. And I also went on Weight Watchers, and it helps me just to be present and mindful when I'm eating, and not only when I'm eating, but it helps me to make meal plans. Sometimes I make enough for a couple weeks because I'll freeze it, and then I always know I have something healthy and delicious that I love on hand. So that's been really, really helpful. I also have been exercising, and I have discovered my favorite exercise ever is rowing. So I got a Concept 2 row erg. I started to read up on rowing and what an incredible workout it is, because it's both a really great aerobic exercise, it's strength training, it's great for the core. So I got the row erg. I love this thing. So check it out. If you don't know about the row erg, I'll leave some links in the description box. I also love hiking, and I'm really lucky to live in a place where you can find a different hiking path every single week and never run out of new places to go. I go with my boyfriend, I go with my dear friends. In fact, a few days after Mom passed away, we gathered a bunch of friends and went for this beautiful hike that I do in Griffith Park. And it's a 6-miler. Not all my friends were speaking to me at the end of it, but we had a wonderful time. And hiking is something we used to do with my mom. I love hiking. It's this wonderful way to be outside, to be moving my body, to be with friends and family, or to do solo as well and spend time with Mama Trudy that way. So coping mechanism number 3 is nutrition and exercise, and whatever that looks like for you. But be present for yourself and your body, and that will help with the grieving process. My coping mechanism number 4, and again, I credit my brother Winston for this one because he really organized this with our whole family, was to go visit my mom's hometown. On the way there, driving there, we got in a snowstorm, and we were sure that was Mama Trudy saying to us, "Oh, you can come back to my hometown, but we're not gonna make this easy for you."
Mama Trudy!
But we made it. We stayed in this lovely, comfortable place, and we spent time with my Aunt Celia, my mother's younger sister. We spent time with her dear friend Marilyn. We also spent time with my mom's best friend out in Oregon named Beth and her husband Glenn. Their son Joe is a photographer. He also grew up in Joseph, and he also knows a lot about the Nez Perce. So even though that's not his tribe, he was able to share a lot with us about the natives who were in Joseph, and what we learned from him was invaluable.
This is the first Nez Perce dugout canoe that has paddled on Wallowa Lake since the Nez Perce War.
We also made a visit to her house, and this was a house that I helped her build by hand. My mom resurrected what was like basically a shack. She resurrected it into this beautiful home, and so we went to her home. The new owners allowed us to come over to give her home a hug, and then we spread some of Mom's ashes in her garden. They kept her beautiful garden that she had created, and we did a beautiful ritual around honoring Mom, telling stories about her, and spreading her ashes into that earth that she had helped nurture and grow. It was really a beautiful, beautiful way to honor her, to honor her heritage and her hometown, and to understand more about her hometown. We were just so fortunate to be able to all go together. And finally, number 5, how to cope with the grief of losing a loved one is therapy. And just like with the exercise and nutrition, I don't subscribe to or strongly recommend any particular kind. We all have our own ways of approaching therapy, but it's important to have someone who's objective, someone who's a professional, someone who is there to hear you and encourage you to cry and scream and speak your full truths to. I was really lucky that my therapist, that I got to bring my mom to one of my therapist's appointments. And so he had already met her, and knew all of those things that I said about her to be true, as well as the challenging things. I got to speak truth with him, and having therapy with him was so important it is so important in my journey to healing. I wanted to share that one thing that he said to me that was really helpful was that I had booked a speaking engagement, the biggest one I've ever done, at the University of Michigan, my alma mater, and this was at their business school. And I was already nervous about this one because it was such a big one, but also once my mom died, I wasn't sure that I could do it, but I had committed to it. Because of the pandemic, it had been put off. We had been planning for months, and I really wanted to do it. I really wanted to show myself I could do it. But I said to my therapist, what if I just freeze? What if I am up there speaking to people and I start thinking about my mom, and I freeze and I can't go on? And he said, well, good. That's okay, because you are sharing your vulnerability with people, and you're being truthful and you're being authentic, and it is okay. In fact, it might be a gift to them and to yourself that you can be authentic and truthful. And I took a long pause and took that in, and this weight just completely fell off of my shoulders, knowing that it was okay, knowing that I didn't have to be afraid of letting vulnerability show. And so I said, okay, you know what? If I break down, I'm gonna just let it go, and maybe I'll end the speech, and then maybe I'll walk off. And he said, hold on, let's back up a little bit. And then he said this, which is the coping mechanism, my number 5 coping mechanism, which is therapy. And this particular thing that he said to me, this quote, which was, don't indulge, don't repress. Don't indulge and don't repress. And so when it comes to the grieving process, we cannot hold those strong feelings in, those feelings that hit you when you're just in the middle of grocery shopping or teaching or delivering a keynote. We don't repress those, we let them come. But also we do know that line of indulgence. We do know that line, or at least we can be open to feeling that line where our allowance of letting the feelings come has crossed over into territory that stifles us and stifles our living and stifles our ability to move forward, because that's what our loved one wants. So for you and for me, don't indulge, but also don't repress.